Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the world's biggest stars, some of my favourite people, and a lady who has shot to fame over the last few years as one of the biggest stars in musical theatre history. Most famous for Elphaba in Wicked, she shot to fame really after We Will Rock You, and now she's about to debut a brand new musical in the West End, and she's going back on tour with Brian at Christmas, and she joins us on the phone now. Kerry Ellis, how are you?
That was a very nice introduction.
When you say it like that, it comes across that you're either a big head or you've done an awful lot, doesn't it, really?
I'm just old and I've been around for ages.
It's amazing. I mean, we first got to know each other during We Will Rock You, which was an extraordinary cast. And with that music, it gave you an opportunity to just shine, and you embraced it and took it on. And from there, you've flown, really, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, We Will Rock You was a little gem, really, and it came at a brilliant time for me. And yeah, I just think of all the things that it brought. You know, it obviously introduced me to Brian, and we've been working together ever since. And it's amazing the impact that show had, and still has, even though it's not in the West End at the moment. But yeah, I guess it was one of the real pointers that changed things for me.
And then we look at that cast. I mean, it made stars of many people, but ultimately, I think you've become the biggest. The reason for that, I guess, is because he chose you and decided that you were going to be his star. How did that happen? Was it that one song, No One But You, which really was a killer moment in the show where everybody went, wow? Or was it stuff that happened in rehearsals? How did that alchemy happen between you and Brian?
I don't think it was as kind of fairy tale as, you know, he spotted me and you know, chose me as such to you know, make me a star or whatever. I think it's been a lot more of a long development, really, for us. Obviously, we got to work together in the rehearsal period, and it's why the song has a key change in, because we were actually working together in the rehearsal studio, and Brian was like, you know, this song, it's not doing it for you, it needs to go somewhere else, you know, and that's why he put in a key change, and it stayed in ever since. And yeah, that song was hugely important. It was the very first song that I actually recorded in the studio with Brian. We did an orchestral version, and I guess things did. I guess they spiked from there, because that was the first time we were actually in the studio, and then from then we did toy with various music in the studio, trying to find what would work for me or what would work for us. But over the years, we've developed as almost an act, really. We go out on tour as a duo at the moment, and the album that we're currently working on is the two of us. The first album that we did a Wicked in Rock, you know, EP, but the first big album, Anthems, Brian kind of wanted to produce for me. He's obviously on it and heavily featured, but it wasn't us as a pair. Whereas the new stuff, the acoustic live album, was the two of us, and the new one is the two of us doing what we do, and we're kind of celebrating the music that we bring, or the qualities that we bring from each other. You know, the drum, the voice, obviously, and the guitar, and the drama, I think, is what we have in common.
Yeah. It is interesting. Last week I was in a hotel with Petula Clark. I did Bassie a few weeks ago. And you sit in the presence of these people, especially with someone like Brian, and you think, imagine what those eyes have seen. I mean, he is as big as it gets in show business. Do you still pinch yourself?
Yeah, you know, it catches me at different times now, I think, because I have obviously known him for a long time now, and obviously know him a lot better because we've been out on the road and we've spent time in the studio, and the joyous moments for me are when he will tell a story, you know, literally off the cuff of something, you know, a little gem of something about what Freddie used to do, or something that they used to do in the studio, you know, back in the day, or we'll be randomly talking and go, oh yeah, we recorded, we were with Michael Jackson and we recorded a little session, but it never really went anywhere. You know, it's things like that, it's the throwaway things like that I cherish, and it's those moments I go, oh my God, you know, you are a big superstar. But generally on a day-to-day, when we're talking about the album and stuff, it's pretty normal, and I know that sounds random, but it really is. He's a really just normal, decent guy, you know, and Yeah, I guess I have those moments. Of course I do. But on a day-to-day basis, not so much.
I saw Ben in a hotel a few weeks ago, and I know they want to bring it back. Would you go in if it came back? And it does seem like next year that show could be back on stage somewhere if they can find the right theatre. That's exciting.
You know, I think it's such a shame that it didn't, that it came off. I think there was still massive demand for it. People were ready to lose it from the West End, and it does feel like there's something missing. We always love driving past and seeing, you know, Freddie's iconic statue outside the Dominion, and so it feels like it's a missing part of London now, I think. And I do think that it will go back in. I think there's demand for it. I think people will love it again, and it'll get a new audience as well. And who knows? You know, who knows? I think I'm a bit old to play Meatloaf now, but who knows? Who knows?
Perhaps try Galileo this time or something. You could try.
Well, you never know.
And then we look at your voice, and it is different and it is unique. I saw you last live, I think it was in Leicester at Curve, and you were magnificent. I have to say, it was a standing ovation-inspired performance. You were incredible. How do you view your voice? Because it's a powerhouse thing, isn't it? It is different to most.
You know, it's interesting. I was at a charity football match on Sunday with my family, and it was a theatre event. It was Phantom versus Les Mis, and they do a big charity event for Macmillan Cancer Support Charity. And before the game, it's all theatre people playing, and a few you know, celebrities and ex-pros that they can rope in. And before they do it, they have this you know, semi-concert, and they get a few people to sing, and there was some amazing, talented, you know, young, beautiful people singing, you know, and wailing all over the rafters, and they were just phenomenal. And
I hate those types, don't you?
I hate those people. and before me was like this 11-year-old boy that had this phenomenal voice, and he was just brilliant. And it made me stop and think, you know, hang on a minute. I'm gonna go out and sing a little simple song. You know, I sang "These Boots Are Made for Walking," which was probably, it wasn't a tricksy song at all. Right. You know, it wasn't a show-off song at all. But I came out and kind of, I made the audience sing and got everybody involved. And I think what's interesting about my career or my performances now is the experience that you bring and the way you're able to interact with a crowd. And I think that as you get older is so important to be able to engage with an audience. It's, for me, it's the most important thing now is making them, whatever the scenario, whether you're doing a show and you need them to believe in your character and follow you on a journey, or whether you're in the middle of a football field and you need them to kind of embrace the song and enjoy and just get rallied up for the game. It's about being smart and being right for the occasion. And I think you learn that with experience.
I suppose you could sum up Michael Ball in the same way, really. I mean, that's what he brings to the table, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Michael has a fabulous voice, but, you know, he would say himself, you know, there's tons of, like, young people that, like, you know, riff all over the place and have these fabulous ranges. But there is something very unique about Michael, and what that is, I don't know if I could put my finger on it. And I don't know what it is about me, really. I think that I just feel very fortunate that people like to hear and see me perform, and they still come, you know, they still come back. And it's funny, the older you get, the more you do think about it and appreciate it, but almost you can't think about it too much, because I think you just freak yourself out.
Yeah. Do you ever get intimidated at this point? Are there moments where you think, I'm not as good as I thought I was?
I don't think it's that. I think you can appreciate other people better the older you get. You could, you know, like on Sunday, these young people were just phenomenal, and I sit back and go, "You're brilliant," and I think that's fantastic. And I just feel very fortunate to just still be doing what I do and love doing it. And like I said, for people to still come and see me.
And I do think you were part of that generation that's made it cool. Musical theatre's never been bigger, has it? And it's never been more popular. And because of people like you, seriously. I mean, if you look now, it's broadcast on Radio 2, ITV do the awards ceremony, and the numbers are up. And it is down to the stars of the West End. We didn't really have that 20 years ago, other than Elaine and Michael. They were it, really, weren't they?
It was a different kind of star we had. We did have massive stars, though. People like Michael and Ruthie,
of course,
and Elaine. They were huge stars, and we don't necessarily have that now, but we have a bigger variety. And I think things like social media and the internet is so important for people getting themselves out there and people being able to view performances and educate themselves is massive, I think. And I think that's why there is a lot more people known and a lot more people appreciated in theatre now.
We spoke of We Will Rock You. You then went on to the biggest gig of them all, I think, in musical theatre history, which was Elphaba in Wicked, which frankly doesn't get any bigger, literally. And that was the moment where people realised that you had a phenomenal talent and an appeal. And for young girls, my God, there isn't a better role, is there? Which, of course, led to Broadway and probably the reason we're talking today, because you stand out in that role. What a blessing.
It's funny though, I look at the other girls that have played the role and how they sing it, and they're phenomenal. And I just feel very fortunate to have got it, and to have embraced it. And I loved it. And I got the opportunity to go back a couple of years ago for a snippet of time. And I never thought I would return to the role because it was so... it's such a big role to take on, and I was 5 years older. I'd had a baby. I'd got married. I'd done other shows. I'd had a whole other life in 5 years, and to go back to that or to take that on again was quite daunting. But I absolutely loved it. I embraced those 3 months and came at it with a completely different view. I had so much more experience, and I knew what the role needed to take on, and I loved it, absolutely loved it.
It's got to be a pain to sit there and stick all that gunk all over your face every day.
I didn't mind it too much. I think because it doesn't take as long as people think it does, because I've done it for a good couple of years and it's quite fast. And I kind of liked the transformation of it. I liked the fact that you go in as me and I come out as a completely different person. And I liked that moment that you could take your time, get ready, and have just a moment to yourself to prepare for the show. And you kind of put the same on in any show. You go in and you get your makeup done, and you get ready and you have that moment. But with Wicked, it's just that little bit more paint.
Right.
But I kind of enjoyed it. The getting it off, perhaps not so much, but I enjoyed the transformation.
That's the thing I find in life. Getting it off is far more difficult than getting it on. Don't know about you. And then we look at the reaction of the kids. I don't think there's been a musical that's brought more people to the theatre from a new generation that had never seen shows before. And my God, those young girls just love it, don't they? What is it about that show? Is it the flying bit, or is it the green bit, or is it the story?
It's a bit of everything. Obviously the music, the costumes, the story, the flying, the songs, everybody relates to Gravity and it's just a bit of everything. It's magical. It takes people on a journey. I think the reason a lot of people relate to Elphaba is because of her journey. She has that struggled life or that journey, but she comes good, and she uses her oddness, if you like, to become a fantastic person and a very strong character, and I think that's what people like.
And as we can hear in the background, things have changed. You're now a mum. I guess that's more important than anything. All this showbiz stuff pales into insignificance.
Well, it does change your life, and any parent will tell you the same. It's the most amazing thing. It really is. But it kind of puts everything into perspective. It makes me appreciate things more. If I go to work and go and do a show or concert for a day, it's like having a day off to me. I get to actually just think about myself for a day, or sit and have a hot cup of tea or something. But no, I'm surrounded by fantastically supportive family. My husband's great. All of our parents help us out, and without that support, I wouldn't be able to carry on doing what I do. And I'm fortunate that I get to do both. I get to have a career that's still, going strong, and I get to be a mum as well. And it's the best. I've been in very fortunate situations where I was on tour with Brian just recently, and I did get to take them with me, which was fantastic. So I have made it work, but it's the best thing ever. It's the best thing.
That is the downside to the West End, having to turn up 8 times a week, isn't it? It is tough because there's a compromise to be made, isn't there? To commit to something 8 times a week is difficult when you want to put them to bed and be mum.
It is. I was watching a documentary last night about David Beckham, and one of the things he was saying was that he went from a 15-year-old boy. He sacrificed so much for his career, his sport, his life. And he looks back now and he says, there were times when he would have to say goodbye to his children at the airport, and they would tug on him and say, we're not going. And he said it was the toughest time. But he's also now inspiring them to be great. And he's like, but the most important thing for him is to be a good dad. And I totally get that. You have to sacrifice things. And of course you want to put your children to bed, but it is a juggling act, and it's tough at times. It is tough at times.
How do they feel when they see Mummy about to go on stage at the Royal Albert Hall or the Palladium? And that's strange because the woman who's making a cheese sandwich is now about to entertain thousands. That's a bit peculiar, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I made myself laugh because I was doing a couple of interviews this morning, and between doing the interviews, I'm kind of changing nappies and putting the washing out, and those kind of things make me laugh because I just think that's brilliant. I love the normality of that.
Yeah.
I love that you can be talking about, playing in Verona to 20,000 people with Brian May and going to Broadway and being on the West End stage, and then the next minute you can be changing a nappy and putting the washing out.
Yep.
I love that. I think that's the brilliant side of what I get to do, and it keeps everything in perspective, and it's magical.
And then we look at the summer and coming into Christmas, 2 big projects. Murder Ballad, which has had a great buzz about it. I mean, you've got Ramin, which is incredible. September 29th, you star in this brand new show at the Arts Theatre. A premiere, so I haven't seen it, of course, because it hasn't opened. Well, what is it?
It's a 4-hander intimate show at the Arts Theatre. It's called Murder Ballad. It's only been shown off-Broadway, so it's a new show, really. Nobody's seen it here, so it's going to be something new. We can put our stamp on it, develop it. We've got the fantastic Sam Yates directing. And I think we're all really excited because it's something so new, and like you say, Ramin's doing it. We were talking about it when we did the West End Live performance, and the 4 of us are like, this is so new for us. We've not been in this intimate environment before, and all played, they're very normal people, these characters, and it's a very it's quite a crazy story in 90 minutes.
Right.
But it's quite exposing for the 4 of us, but I think we're all really excited to do something so raw and challenging and new that's going to hopefully smack people between the face, between the eyes, and really be a fabulous 9 weeks of entertainment.
And it is a musical, yeah?
It is. It's completely sung through. It's a 90-minute. It's kind of like a play that's sung.
Oh wow! Okay.
It's a great story. It's very. It has a lot of twists and turns, but it's about normal people. So it's going to be challenging.
What I love about it is there's no interval, and you can be in the pub by about 9 o'clock. This is marvellous news.
That is marvellous news. It's great news. I know, it's fabulous. Those things are very important when you're doing, a whole load of shows in a week. So, it's completely sung through. It's a 90-minute show, so it's 1 act. So it's fast. It's really fast-paced. There's a lot going on in that 90 minutes. And
how difficult is it for you on a scale of 1 to 10? Because, I mean, you've done some pretty big songs in the past. Is it tricky, or is it the acting bit that's tricky?
I think what's going to be tough for me is the more I look at it, I've been starting to look at the score and the story and the character, and she has a couple of things that I can relate to. She's a mum, she gets married, she has a family, and then it all goes a bit wrong for her because she has this big sordid affair, and it's just all twisted and awful. And I think what's going to be tough for me is getting my head around the character and perhaps not playing somebody very likeable, which I've always played like fantastically strong women that come out, singing and come out all triumphant and has a happy ending kind of thing, and this character kind of doesn't. It's a bit dark. So
I've got an idea, Kerry. Now, your husband's not going to like this, but why not go and have an affair, and then you'll know what that's like?
Oh, don't! That's awful. I think this is what is tough for me. I'm struggling with getting my head around it.
It'll be great for the role, though. You've got to think about show business first. Never mind the binge.
Yeah. I'll tell him.
And then this Christmas, you're back on tour with Brian. This is something that I love that started a few years ago when people like Russell Watson did it. I just love these sort of candlelit Christmas shows, the cathedrals, the intimate theatres, and you're doing that this Christmas. That's going to be lovely.
We are. We're working on an album at the moment. We're in the studio a lot this month, and we should hopefully have something early next year. And yeah, we're going on tour at Christmas. It's a show that's developed over the last few years. We've taken it, around Europe, and it's developed a little bit more from when we did it around the UK a few years ago. And yeah, we're coming back. I love it. I love the show. It's, we really enjoy playing to intimate crowds. I mean, intimate, they're kind of 1,000, 2,000 seaters, but
right.
they're intimate for Brian anyway. But it's nice. It's nice. It's a good, enjoyable show. We tell stories and we sing songs, and there's a lot of drama and a lot of laughter, and it's just a really nice evening out. So we're only doing 12 shows, so if you can catch one, come see us. Congratulations
on everything. You are unique and a huge talent, and big respect. Kerry Ellis, you can find out more on all tour dates and information about Murder Ballad. Go to the website, just put in Kerry Ellis into Google and it will come up. Lovely to talk to you again.
Thank you so much. Cheers, Alex.